Today's program is brought to us by Mike Opitz. Mike Opitz, as you know very well, has been our member the past 10 years, and he is currently serving as the Director of Community Service Projects. He was involved in projects such as Picnic Committee, Jeremiah Committee, and several other projects in our club. He is happily married to his wife with 2 children. I think he has 2 girls who are 25 and 22, equally successful as their father. Ladies and gentlemen, here is our program chair, Mike Opitz.
Well, it's, hopefully my wife thinks we're happily married, but we're in for a treat today, just spending briefly some time with John over here before our program. He's seems to be very entertaining, and Mr. O, I do have my phone off, so. Our speaker today, as I said, is John Gross from KSTP TV. You might recognize his voice. John has done more than 300 feature stories for Channel 5. And when he worked in Dallas, he traveled with the Cowboys when they played in 2 Super Bowls. As a TV sports reporter in Detroit, he covered the Tigers when they won the World Series and was the station's reporter at 2 Olympics. John also worked for NFL Films for close to 25 years. And if you watch Monday Night Football or ESPN, there's a good chance you've seen his work. John has won national honors for both his reporting and photography, and he's done stories on both The Today Show and Good Morning America. John is also one of the authors of the national best-selling book, Chicken Soup for the Sports Fan's Soul. John says he really doesn't care what someone says about him when he gets introduced, as long as they mention his family. He married his high school sweetheart, Nancy, has 3 grown daughters and 3 grandchildren. Please help me welcome John Gross.
Well, thank you for inviting me. It's such an honor to be here. I'm close friends with Tom Winninger. And my daughter Lisa has been a counselor at Camp Enterprise for 4 years. Yes. So before I even drove up here, if it was Dancing with the Stars, I'd give you a 10. And then I got here and they put on the helmet. That was awesome, the Green Bay helmet. Then I had the food, the talk, 10. Winninger was great. It is the best Rotary Club in the universe. I've been talking at Rotary Club since May, and when I started out, I didn't even know what a Rotary Club was. And now, 17 speeches later, I buy into everything that you do. I love the fundraising, and when I heard all over the country you're raising money to eradicate polio all over the world, it gave me goosebumps. Because my dad had polio when he was growing up. And as a visitor, the thing I like about Rotary, I think more than anything else, is the happy thoughts. I remember I was in Chanhassen. There was a guy who inducted into Rotary and put a pin in his lapel. He took $1 out and he says, my happy thought is, I'm just happy they didn't do a background check. Now, I'm tight on time. I'm sure some of you are tight on time. So I did something. This is a cowbell, exactly that they use at track meets. When runners have to run several laps, they'll go like this. It's the bell lap. It's the last lap. Marty, you've got a cowbell. Ring that cowbell for me. Ring it good and loud. That's my 5-minute warning. When I get that 5-minute warning, I'm going to round third, head home, and you're going to get out of here on time. I got to be at Channel 5 or I'm going to get in trouble. I'm a sports photographer. I'm doing games tonight. So what am I going to talk about? If you can change your attitude, you can change your life. And it happened to me June 9th when I celebrated my 65th birthday. I went back to Michigan to celebrate with my daughter and her family. And this is a picture of my granddaughter Kaylee and me. I told my daughter, listen, I want all 65 candles on the birthday cake. And not a very big birthday cake. My son-in-law needed a blowtorch to light all the candles. This is no joke. So he's lighting the candles, and the closer it gets to me, more I start to sweat. It lights up 65 candles, and my daughter says, Dad, that looks more like a bonfire than a birthday cake. And the grandkids said, it does look like a bonfire, Grandpa. And they started to sing. And I dreaded turning 65 till I saw the bonfire. And it was the best birthday I've ever had. And ever since I reached that milestone, ever since I got the white hair, people have been saying, when are you going to retire? It happened again with Mike. Are you retired? And I remember the opening game of the high school football season down at Lakeville North. Opening game, it's hot. I'm sweating. And I see a guy, I think from the I'm not sure what newspaper. One of the newspaper guys came up to me. First words out of his mouth, "Hey, Gross, when are you going to retire?" And it wasn't retire, it was retire. And I went, geez, I don't know. But not now! And I ran away from him. And every play that night that I wanted to walk, I started to run. Now, what I did is I did put a negative on the guy. We're still friends. We laugh. What I did is I turned that into motivation. I turned that negative inside out. And I did it that game, and I shot my best game in 3 years. So the next game, I pumped myself up, and every time I was ready to walk, I went, "Not now!" And then I did the Gopher games, and I did the Vikings-Packers game, and I was really tired. I'm 100 pounds overweight. I'm trying to run. I'm going like this. And I thought to myself, I'm not going to retire. Not now. I've worked at that TV station, Channel 5, for 14 years. 14 years. I've shot games since I've been 19 years old. True story. The best season I've ever had because of 2 words. Not now. What are your not nows of life? What's holding you back? What are you worried about? Why do you stay up in the middle of the night worrying about things? Just turn it inside out simply by the words you say and the words that you think. How many baby boomers do we have here? Could I see hands of baby boomers? Look at the hands. This is dedicated to every baby boomer in the room. It's called the senility prayer. God, grant me the senility to forget the people I never liked anyway. The good fortune to remember the people I do like and the eyesight that tell the difference. How many like that? Could I see your hands? I've got to give this lady some. You were so good in that helmet. You get the booby prize today? This is from the Vikings. This is the Vikings game plan against the Packers on Monday night. The ashes to the game plan. I'm just getting back into speaking. I spoke full-time for 3 years, just getting back into it. And when Tom told me about how prestigious this club is, I said, man, I better practice. So I decided to get ready for you to do practice speeches at nursing homes. So I walk into this nursing home, and there's a little blue-haired lady in the back. And I go up to her, and I introduce myself. She says, "Hi, I'm Emma." And she smiled, and she didn't have any front teeth. I said, "Hi, Emma, I'm John. Why are you here?" "Well, I'm the speaker today." And I noticed she had a big bowl of dry roasted peanuts, and that's my weakness. It was like noontime. I said, "Do you mind if I have a couple of your peanuts?" She said, "Go ahead, Sonny. Go ahead. Eat as many as you want." So we're small talk. She says, "What are you going to talk about?" I said, "Sports." She says, "I hate sports. Can you talk about cooking?" I said, "I don't know anything about cooking." She says, "I don't know anything about sports." We give each other a high five. All of a sudden, there was a connection. Instead of just talking, there was a connection. We started to talk. I was there 5 minutes, and I ate all of her peanuts. I turned to Emma. I said, "I'm so sorry." She said, "Sonny, that's okay. Hey, since I lost all my teeth, all I can do is suck the chocolate off of them." My goal today, is to give you the flavor of motivation and a couple tips on how to turn your setbacks into comebacks. Greatest comeback I've seen in 14 years is the Minnesota Lynx. I covered them last year. There'd be 50 people on the stage. Go Lynx, go Lynx. This year, 15,000. They went from worst to first. How does that happen? First day of practice. It was on a Sunday night. I interviewed Maya Moore. Some people say she's the greatest college basketball player ever. I said, "Maya, what's the key to your success?" And she said it happened when I was 8 years old. That's when they started the WNBA. And she says, "I used to watch those games on TV, and Christmas," she told me Christmas when she was 8 years old, her uncle bought her a brand new WNBA official basketball. She says, "I love that basketball. I'd take that basketball to bed with me. I'd dribble every day." And I started to watch those games, and I used to dream someday I'd be playing. She had a little plastic rim in her bedroom with a little Nerf ball. She'd go like this. She loved basketball, and she'd dream every night. She'd watch those players say, "Someday it's going to be me." She kept that basketball till she was 16 years old. Wherever she went, she had that basketball with her. She just loved basketball. And that Sunday night, I was there. I saw this happen. She's dribbling her basketball, and she stops, and she told me, she looked down, and she says, "Oh, my God. Joe started to cry. My dream came true. And she said, she was shaking like this. She said, I'm so happy. And she missed the free throw and was so mad, she said. And I talked to the players. I covered 20 of their games this year. Simone Augustus told me we were just like sisters. The head coach told me that there wasn't one practice we didn't have fun. It wasn't a team of me's. Me, give me the ball, let me score, let me back. It wasn't a team of me's. It was a team of we's. They didn't care who scored or who made the assist. It was all about winning and all about having fun. They didn't have one practice when they didn't have fun. Back in the 80s, when I not only had hair, I had brown hair, I heard my very first motivational speaker. I don't know if you've heard many motivational speakers. This is one of my all-time favorites.
30,000 schools. And in these schools,
his name is Zig Ziglar. 1979, I bought a 6-cassette course of Zig's. I had listened to it to and from work. Zig Ziglar says, I'm so optimistic when I go fishing for Moby Dick, I take the tartar sauce with me. And I was so inspired by this guy, Zig Ziglar, I joined the National Speakers Association, met an agent named Rich Tiller. He says, I'll pay you $1,000 for every half-hour speech. And he booked me literally all over the country. It was $1,000 of fun every time. And he says, the key is, John, just learn one speech. Then you get a new group. They haven't heard it before. You don't have to have a different speech. It was one speech. Talk about a piece of cake. It was fun. It was a blast until 1991 when the Gulf War broke out. And it was times like today. And maybe there's somebody in the room can associate with me saying I was downsized. I was fired. They fired my salary. I went from $107,000 in 1991 to zero. And I took it personally. What happens when what you do is who you are and you lose what you do? Who are you? I looked at myself like a nobody. The job was gone, the money was gone, my self-esteem was gone, I was gone. I started to go to bed at 3 o'clock in the afternoon just hoping to fall asleep, to get rid of the pain. And then one day I said, well, speaking's always been fun, I'll just become a full-time motivational speaker. But the ground rules changed. It wasn't for fun, it was for money. It was to pay the bills. And I remember I gave one speech 500 times over and over. I got so bored with it, I couldn't wait to quit. It was like I was a puppet, you know, one of those Toy Story puppets that talks. I felt like that. And I spoke at a speaker showcase, and a lady came up to me and she said, doesn't this turn you on, being able to speak to people? You know? And I went, for the first time it hit me, much like it hit Maya. And I said, you know, don't take this wrong, but it doesn't. But, you know, photography does, photojournalism, that's what I want to do. And all of a sudden, I gave up on speaking. Just gave up. And in 1998, I gave my last speech to a group of business people, 3 days, down in Florida. From 1998 until May of this year, I was in the box. Didn't even want to give a speech, didn't try. And then in May, I was in my computer room and going over notes, and I remembered a speech I gave to a group of fifth graders. And there's a special education student that came up after I spoke, and he said, hey, mister, you're the greatest motivational speaker I've ever heard. He's a fifth grader. Okay, right. Real good, thank you. Will you sign my hand? I said, I'd love to sign your hand. I signed his hand, and he went, awesome! Way to go, buddy. I love you. I love you. And I'm not exaggerating. I love you. I love you. And then I got to thinking what I've done here in Minneapolis in 14 years, the places I've gone, the people I've met. Let me just give you an example. You know him as number 28, Adrian Peterson. So I'm down in Houston, Texas, covering the Vikings. Boy, success is finding a job you do for nothing and then get paid for it. I found the job. It's working for Channel 5. We stay with the team, and I went out to eat. And, you know, when you're working for a TV station, they have expense accounts. When the boss pays, you order fillets. I had a really good dinner that night. And I came back, and the lobby was filled with relatives of Adrian Peterson. Just filled. They all look like Adrian Peterson. Weird women, too, right? Like 100 people. And he was talking, he was having fun. He had a meeting at 9 o'clock, and it was almost 9 o'clock. And I saw Adrian Peterson do this. He says, hey, kids. Hey, come here, kids. Anybody want to arm wrestle? Little 8-year-old boys. Ready? Go! And he'd say, way to go. Get good grades. Who's next? 7-year-old girls. Guy can bench press 300 pounds like this. Ready? Go! I'm so glad you're here. Thank you. I saw him do that over and over and over. Here's the backstory. When he was 7 years old, he had a brother a year older, and they were playing. And he heard a crash. His brother was hit by a drunk driver and killed. That's his driving force. He gets that ball. He turned that negative into a positive, into motivation. He carries the ball for Brian. He takes his shirt off. You ever seen him with his shirt off? He says, Brian, I love you. So I go with Adrian Peterson to Brainerd, Minnesota. And he talks to a group of grade school kids. And they ask him, first question, hey, Mr. Peterson, what'd you do when you were our age to stay in shape? And he says, well, when I was watching TV and there was ever a commercial on, during that whole commercial, I'd do sit-ups. And he says, I'd do them over and over. I did this year after year. And in front of all these kids, I wish I could have brought the video. He lifts up his shirt and says, that's how I got my six-pack. And he said something I thought was fascinating. He said, whenever I was on the phone, I'd use this. Anytime I was on the phone, the whole phone conversation, I was going like this. If you ever hear about Adrian Peterson, the one thing that sticks out, the one thing he has that nobody else has is the strongest grip in the country. Why? Because when he was on the phone, he was going like this. So win or lose, I put him right in the winner's circle just because who he is and what he literally stands for. So I'll tell you, I was so excited. I got on my computer and because I got all these stories. I mean, I got 500 stories like Adrian's. And I said, I think I got something. And I went like this. Rotary clubs, Minnesota. And I called 4 or 5. They were booked till June. And got a guy named Gordon at the Friendly Rotary Club. John, we do need a speaker. Can you speak for us next week? I said, piece of cake. Are you kidding me? I'd love to speak for you. And I was so excited for about 15 seconds. Hung up the phone. I'm going, yeah, I'm back. I'm speaking again. And then I realized, oh my God, I can't give that same old boring speech. I got to come up with a brand new speech, a 30-minute speech by next week. Oh, I'm saying the real serenity prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept things I cannot do. And it's saying it really fast over. Please help me. And it hit me. Tom Winninger, my buddy. I'm from Cedar Falls. He's from Waterloo, Iowa. I called up Tom Winninger. I said, Tom, can you help me? Tom, can you help me out? Sure, come on over. I've had 5 meetings with Tom Winninger. Very first meeting, almost word for word, this is what happened. He says, John, bring your speech. I said, okay. I brought him 7 pages. He says, John, how long is your speech? I said, well, Rotaries are usually about 30 minutes. He says, John, you could go for 2 hours of that speech. John, you got 300 pounds for a 30-pound bag. Imagine putting 5,000 Christmas bulbs on a Christmas tree. That's what that's like. No. Don't have so much stuff. And then he said, John, the key is the people. The speech isn't for you. It's not to make people laugh. It's for them. Meet the people before the speech. He said, that's really critical because if you're really bad, people throw tomatoes, they'll be like tomatoes. He says, you got to practice and practice and practice and know that it's just not for you. He says, John, give me an example of a story. I said, well, a guy goes into a bookstore and says, hey, lady, do you have that #1 national bestseller, Men, the Superior Sex? And the lady says, sure do, aisle 5 under fiction. You notice all the ladies are laughing at it. Oh, man, Tom doesn't even laugh. You know Tom. He just starts saying, John, that has nothing to do with anything. Never, ever. You got to have a take-home point to everything you do. He says, John, I want you to imagine your speech like a jigsaw puzzle. There might be 200 pieces to this jigsaw puzzle, but unless those pieces fit together, the people won't be able to see the picture. What's the picture you want the people to think about? What's the picture you want people to remember? I said, well, every speech sort of boils around my title. If you can change your attitude, you can change your life. Tom Winninger got real serious. It's okay, John. Imagine Tom saying that. He said this word for word. Okay, John, here's the key. Do you have any stories to bring that title to life? And I said, I think I do. And knowing that were at the Edina Country Club. How many play golf? Could I see your hands? Any golfers in here? Oh, I'm glad I'm going to tell this story. Did you know when golf balls were invented that they used to be smooth? But they found out when a golf ball had a nick or a cut in it that it went further and farther. And sometimes it's the same with people. His name is Charlie Boswell. He was an All-American football and baseball player at the University of Alabama. Went to service. Went to war. He was in a ditch in Germany, saw a tank with an American soldier, and the soldier got hit. So with instinct, at 21 years old, he jumped onto the tank, grenade exploded, he was thrown off the tank and left for dead for 3 days. When they found him, his most serious injuries to his eyes, totally blind, sent back stateside. They tried to get him to bowl, and he didn't like it, didn't want to do it, didn't want to do anything. He gave up on life. He went into the box. He literally went into the box, just gave up and didn't want to try. And one day a sergeant came in and said, "Come on, Charlie, let's go play some golf." He said, "Get the hell out of here. What are you trying to make fun of me? I'm blind." The guy said, "Can't do it, huh? Giving up? Too hard for you?" And Charlie said, "Okay, I'll try one." Imagine this. A guy can't see a thing. And he's out there swinging a ball he can't see. Misses. Where to go? 200 yards straight down the fairway. You're kidding me. Straight down the fairway. You hit it 200 yards. Here's the key, he said. Can I hit another one? And he hit another one, and another one, and another one, and another one, and another one. He started to get up at 6 in the morning. He hit 300 golf balls. He played 18 holes in the afternoon and hit 300 more golf balls at night. He got better and better and better and better and better. Charlie Boswell is the best blind golfer in the history of the sport. Shot in the 70s. In the 70s. And he met his boyhood idol, Arnold Palmer. How many of you have ever seen Arnold Palmer play or met him? What a nice gentleman. I've done several interviews with him. So he's at a tournament, and he's there. There's Arnie. He's winning the whole tournament, and Charlie's walking. He's just walking. He knows it's Arnold Palmer. And he says, "Oh, that sounded good, Arnie. That sounded good. Way to go, Arnie. Way to go." Gets at the 11th hole. "Charge, Arnie. Charge. Go, baby, go." Gets to the 18th hole. Arnold Palmer wins. And he's so excited because his idol won. And he's standing there, and Arnold Palmer's just signing some autograph. And he says, "Where's that voice? I heard that voice. Who is that? I want to meet that man." And he puts his hand out. Charlie says, "Hi, I'm Charlie Boswell, greatest blind golfer in the history of the sport." And Arnie says, "Such an honor to meet you. Thank you. Listen, if there's ever anything I could do for you, just let me know." And Arnie says, "Well, Arnie, I would like to play you in a round of golf, $1,000 a hole." And Arnie says, "Okay. No problem, I'll do it. When you want to play?" He says, "Oh, I don't care, Arnie. You can pick the night." I swear to you, that bell. I hate that bell. I hate the bell. I just got started. You got to invite me back. I got 500 more stories. How many have ever flown on Masaba Airlines? Anybody ever flown on Masaba Airlines? I had to give a speech in Bismarck, North Dakota. I got on Masaba Airlines, and I thought I was walking to Bismarck. It's so far down the terminal in Minneapolis. And you don't walk on the plane, you walk up the plane. And I get on, it's very narrow seats. There's a lady sitting next to me, and it's a propeller plane. Hour and a half. And I'm looking over my notes. And I'm practicing my speech. You can see my lips move, have no idea what I'm saying. This lady next to me sort of leans over. "What the heck are you doing?" I said, "Well, I'm a motivational speaker practicing my speech. Do you mind if I practice on you?" She says, "You want to what?" I said, "Can I just give you some stories and you grade them from 1 to 10? She said, "Okay." So I gave her the story that got the most laugh. She went 4. I said, "Are you kidding me? People laugh." Why do they laugh? So I go over my notes and say, "How about this one? How about this one? How about this one?" The highest score I got was 4. She was like Simon Cowell. "I really think you should get out of the business. You're not funny. You are not funny." So it's been an hour and a half in the plane, nothing but above a 4. We're circling. I tell her a story, and this lady says, 10. I said, "Excuse me." She says, "I like that. Here's how I got a 10. How How many of you ever played catch with your mom or dad when you were growing up? Anybody ever play catch? And even more important today, how many ever play catch with your son or daughter? Could I see your hands? I want you to imagine the scene. A little 7-year-old boy with a twins hat on runs down the basement steps, runs up to Dad. It's a Saturday, and Dad didn't have enough time to do all of his work, so he's working on Saturday morning. He's busy on his computer. Little 7-year-old son comes up. Come on. Come on, Dad, you promise. Come on, Dad. You know what 7-year-old kids are like. Come on, Dad. 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 And Dad doesn't even look up. He says, get out of here. Come back in 15 minutes. And that little 7-year-old boy just stands there, tears streaming down his face. Dad, I just want to play catch. And the dad realizes the harm that he's done. So he takes a USA Today newspaper, you know, the color map of the world in USA Today newspaper. He cuts it into 15 different pieces and then puts it into a shoebox with Scotch tape and says to his son, Scotch tape the map of the world back together, and then we'll play catch. Is that a deal? He says, yeah, Dad, see ya. And his dad gets busy on the computer for 15 more. He's hoping for 15 minutes, but 50 seconds later, the kid's back. Come on, Dad, let's go. Dad said, wait a minute. You can't pull it over me. Wait a minute. Let me look at that paper. Holds the paper up, and he can't believe it. Every country is where it should. It's perfect. Son, I'm so proud of you. How did you do that? Little 7-year-old boy says, oh, it was simple, Dad. On the other side of the map of the world was a picture of a family. And as soon as they got the family right, the world was right. Your children don't want a $10 teddy bear to hug. They want you to hug. They don't want your quality time. They want your quantity time. For your children, love is literally spelled T-I-M-E. It's time. If your family isn't first, it's last. I'd like to close now by singing the song My Way. That's how I would like to close, but I can't sing at all. Let me leave you with this. I have failed so many times, I learned to take failure as a vitamin pill. In the worst of times, I was 48 years old, living in my van, working in Fort Wayne, Indiana, at a dinky job for $8 an hour in the midst of winter. I'm freezing in my van. I'm ready to quit that night. And I put in an audio tape by Wayne Dyer. I know Wayne. I met him in Detroit, introduced him at a speech, went out to lunch with him, went down to Florida, spent a whole day with him in the morning. So when he talked, it was like he was talking to me. And he said, whatever you focus on expands. You're thinking negative, you'll only get more negative. And within 30 seconds, I changed my attitude and went back to work the next day. And then I got the job in Minneapolis. This is an example I want to prove to you visually. This is how I'll close, and I need a volunteer. And since you have so many honors, will you come and help? Give her a big hand for coming. I'm so proud of you. What's your name? Dragana. Dragana. Okay, come here, Dragana. Stand right here. What I want you to do is put your hand out. And I want you to balance this broom and just put it in the palm of your hand. Just look down at the palm of your hand and balance the broom. Dragana, it's real simple. Just look down at the palm. But nothing else, just the palm. You know, Dragana could be here another day and she'd never do it. Imagine your problems as being the palm of your hand. If you just focus on your problems, you'll only get more problems. Watch what happens when you take your focus off your problems. Dragana, this time what I want you to do, you have a lot more nerves in your fingertip than the palm of your hand. Now I want you to look up. Don't look down, but look up. Just look up. You see, when you take your eyes... When you take your eyes off your problem, just look up. Just only look at the room. Just look up. Look up.
Small fingers, right?
Come on, look up. Look up. Now look down. Look up. Look up. Look up. Look up. Look up. Look up. Look. Look. It's getting better. It's getting better. One more time.
One more time.
On, Dragana. When you literally look up, when you look up, if you have faith in the future, you literally have power in the present. And I think the reason that I picked you is because I have something very special for you. You cannot buy this. You can get it in any place unless you know somebody. This is from the Minnesota Vikings locker room. And that's yours. Let's take it back. Congratulations on what
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Let me leave you with the way I started. If you can change your attitude, you can literally change your life. What a great group. I'm going to tell Tom Wenninger. Oh, they really liked it, Tom. Okay. Have a good day. Thanks for letting me be here. Thank you.
John, thank you so much for your inspiring and motivational and fun, just about having fun with life, enjoying what you do, full gusto. I really appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate it too. I believe so much in Rotary. I took a week off vacation last week and spoke at Rotary Club.
Yeah, we appreciate, and given your family connection to polio,
Yes.
I'd like you to know that eradicating polio is the #1 priority of the Rotary Foundation and Rotary's Give to the World. In 1985, Rotary launched Polio Plus, a multi-million-dollar initiative to immunize all of the world's children against polio. Since then, more than 2 billion children have received the oral polio vaccine. We are making, in appreciation for your presentation, we'll make a gift to Polio Plus in your honor. So, John Gross, thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Okay.
I appreciate it. Thank you. Thanks. Thank you, Dan. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike and John, both for bringing such a passionate program today. I was really inspired. Today's quote comes from an anonymous person. It may have to do with what John just said. If you have any passion, never be afraid to do something new. Remember, amateurs built the Ark, professionals built the Titanic. If I don't see you next week, happy Thanksgiving to everybody. Guests and visiting Rotarians, thank you for visiting us today. Remember, we are in the business of reaching within to embrace humanity. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you.